And hello and welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I am Daren, Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough and New York City. Coming up, we'll address how one organization's mission to fight tobacco, the epidemic that's engaging youth, advocating in the community, and then also implementing some strong policies to safeguard the health of all New Yorkers. And after that, we'll talk about how families can actually prepare for summer driving, what that actually means before you consider hitting the road. And lastly, we'll learn about one student's journey through challenge as well as change, and how one after-school program opened the door to career, college goals, and a future that's full of promise. So stay tuned, because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I am Daren Jaime, and you're now watching Open, a live program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers to the Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast simultaneously on MNN's channels. You can stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms at BronxNet TV. Well, some things have been going on through the past week, and we'll take you through it with some Bronx updates. And we kick off with transportation news. Drivers beware. Speeding through MTA zones could soon get a ticket in the mail. New York State Governor Kathy Hochul and state lawmakers have agreed to expand a pilot program allowing speed cameras on all 7 MTA bridges and 2 tunnels. Under the plan, drivers would face a $50 fine if caught, with penalties increasing to $75 and $100 for repeat violations within 18 months. The goal is to improve safety for workers and drivers. MTA officials say they'll hold a public hearing and vote before installing cameras. In other news, BronxNet partnered with Eris to bring together a first-of-a-kind immersive creative festival that's designed to inspire, empower creatives as well as entrepreneurs. Our BronxNet reporter, Nova Bajamanti, has a story.
BronxNet partnered with the brand Eris to bring forth the BU Fest. The event featured a plethora of engaging and resourceful opportunities that helped guide young artists on their unique career journeys.
Well, our motto is Be You, Own It. So this is literally the culmination and manifestation of our motto. We've really been wanting to create a space that centers creativity, our stories, and community, and bring in everything all in at once. So this is what we've done.
We speak to creatives and entrepreneurs, and we wanted a festival that really merges those creatives and entrepreneurs together in one space. Also, really celebrate arts of all kinds, from traditional art to the digital medias, and bring these worlds together, because we're all artists, we're all creators, and we should be collaborating and connecting with one another.
Both the presenters and the participants reinvigorated their love for the arts as they mingled with like-minded individuals and learned from those working in various creative industries.
I think it really goes with the BU Fest, being yourself, being people of color, especially like Asian American girls, teens growing up. We are subject to stereotypes, and I think a lot of these films in this collection are challenging those stereotypes, and these young people are being themselves. They're being free to kind of break the stereotypes of these characters and just be themselves. So I think taking away being authentically true to you.
One, I'm excited to be here. So I am the co-founder of Live from the Bronx. We are a creative brand, and we're kind of at the intersection of community, mental health, and arts, right? And one of the things that we're doing today is we're producing the multi-hyphenate panel. So creatives can have multiple hats, a lot of different hats. And how do we juggle all of these things? How do we kind of figure out, how do we price ourselves and figure out what we should be making? How do we get gigs? How do we collaborate instead of competing all the time. So we really want to kind of think about how creatives can kind of do that with the multiple hats they wear.
What brought me out was supporting the community. I'm really interested in supporting the community that raised me, the Bronx, and being a creative is really important to me, and seeing other creatives and creating that experience of like a family and just understanding that there's so much that we offer in the Bronx that it's really something powerful. So that's what I learned.
The BU Festival hosted panels, workshops, and screenings for creative youth to find their path. Reporting for BronxNet, I'm Nova.
And thank you, Nova. That is all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We are taking a quick break, but we'll have more open when we return.
We're gonna start the show right now. This is my favorite part. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, this is Angel, and I am one of the instructors for the in-studio production. Here at BronxNet, we offer classes that can help you elevate, expand, and start your television career. All you have to do is sign up at bronxnet.org/education. For the past 7 years, I have been in various productions, spanning from talk shows, independent films, news reports, art displays, teachings, musical performances, and many more. Ain't that right, Angel? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Angel. There are a lot of creative individuals that we're just waiting to sign up for the class. And if I may, can I also express thank you, Angel. That's all the time we have left. Visit bronxnet.org/education and become a producer by taking the course. The class I offer is also in English, en español y también bilingüe. Nos vemos en la próxima clase.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. "55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. "34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit bronxnet.org to learn more.
And we are back. The Bronx is home to many tight-knit communities built on connection and mutual support. Our next guest has been involved in labor and activist movements, bringing years of experience in issue-based campaigns across the country. She's worked to advance progressive leadership, advise leaders of color, and also drive policy change through labor organizing and political consulting. Joining me now is the partner at New Deal Strategies, Camille Rivera. And thank you so much, Camille, for being a part of this conversation. And, I'll start off by asking you, when we talk about the state of labor rights, how do you describe the state of labor rights given this current socio-political climate?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I was born and raised in the Bronx in Soundview, went to school in high school in the Bronx, and so it's a real honor to be on your show.
Thank you.
Thank you for for the work that you all do. I think we are in a very hard space. The Trump administration last week just issued an executive order to kill labor in federal government agencies. That and the labor protections are not as strong as they used to. We have DOJ and other entities within the federal government and the administration cutting jobs. People are losing their livelihoods. And so it is so important now more than ever that we're fighting for the right to organize, that we're fighting for strong contracts. And I believe that labor organizations across the country are really doing what they need to do and trying to understand how to kind of act. And the only way they think, I think is important is to be able to push back as much as possible with the membership that they have.
So what's the message that's being sent out today, given the fact that we've got so many different things happening, cutbacks, firings, loss of income, and people just questioning where the future lies? What's the message that's being sent out today?
I mean, I think the message, there's a number of, I mean, if you are a regular human in the United States of America, you are, you're getting the experience of what's called flooding the zone. And so you probably feel extremely overwhelmed. I know I do, and I'm in this business and in this space. I think the most important thing to do is, in particular, when you're, if you are part of a labor movement, stay close to your contacts, whether it's your captain or your union leader or your local bargaining committee. Make sure that you read your contracts. Make sure that you feel that you have the rights that you have that are protected. A lot of labor is protected by, state law, right? The states really are stepping up in this space and trying very hard to protect people who are losing work. And the state has just also started engaging in hiring people who have been let go. But if you are part of the labor movement and you are part of a union, that's the first protection that you could have. So understanding your contract, talking to people who are in the labor movement or in your labor local about your rights, and ensuring that they're protected. And the labor organization is responsible for fighting back.
How do you see these executive orders and really, the legislation that you're seeing out there playing out, particularly on the ground in New York City?
I think I heard you correctly. What I think I heard was that there was, how it was playing out. Well, executive orders are not binding law, right? Some executive orders that the Trump administration puts out is just put out there, right, to see how far he can exercise his power. The states have an immense amount of jurisdiction over protections. If you are here in the state and work for the state and or are in a private sector union, you do have protections. And so how it's playing out, I believe, is that many folks are trying very hard to move within the courts and the justice system to either push back against the Trump administration's executive orders to stop him from blocking or implementing them, right? Or slowing down the process and allowing states and even the federal government to legislate what the Trump administration is either trying to do or not trying to do.
We've got some Monday morning quarterbacking going on when it talks about what's happened in Wisconsin, the fact that that seat was actually won. And a lot of people are saying, listen, you put a lot of money out there, Elon Musk, but yet still, you didn't come away with the seat. Some of that is being attributed to that minority vote, Latino vote coming out there. Talk to me about this, because I know for certain that you've been working with SCIU, National Latino Civic Engagement, working on really dealing with Latino voters and in the battleground states. How do you see being able to engage, particularly now with all that's on the line? How do you see the Latino vote playing out in these upcoming elections?
Yeah, and people are surprised to know that there are actually Latinos in Wisconsin.
Right.
There are Puerto Ricans in Wisconsin by way of immigration and migration and other spaces. There are a number of Latinos that reside and have exercised their right to vote. I would say Wisconsin, when I think about the Wisconsin race, I think about the fact that as a progressive myself, right, and a liberal, that it is okay to lean into your values. And also at the same time, money doesn't always talk, right? And the branding that Elon Musk has used himself has damaged the Republican Party and will continue to damage the Republican Party. And I think that Latinos in particular, who are courted by the Republican Party and who have, who are not a monolith, right? I think the Democratic Party is doing better in engaging and doing long-term strategy My hope is that they continue to engage Latino voters long term. I have always pushed back on the slash and burn idea around engaging communities of color. We are not always going to stay democratic. It's pretty clear during the Trump administration, during the presidential elections, that there was a small group of people that went the other way, right? And so it's extremely important that the Democratic Party use this as a case study and see what they did right, and what the wins are telling them, and listen to voters.
Yeah, but Camille, I think one of the things that's going to be a knock against the Democratic Party, which we've heard, is that there's a lot of anti-Trump messaging, a lot of anti-Elon Musk messaging, and to the average voter in New York City, and across the United States, we're not hearing much messaging that's really resonating and hitting home outside of that. So how do you define a firm political campaign? And I know that you've worked on Liz Warren's U.S. Senator Liz Warren's presidential campaign. Talk to us about that, right? How do you get a strong political campaign and a successful one, particularly given today's times?
Look, I think the message I think the Democratic Party really hedged their bets, right? We can't be for one thing and then slightly soft on another, right? We have to lean into what we believe in. And, voters like authenticity. It's the reason that Trump won a number of voters. They think that he's authentic. Whether or not that's true or not, he's able to have a conversation with voters that Democrats were not able to do, right? And so the way I have advised my campaigns and other candidates is to be their most authentic self, to lean in, right? Whether it's, to lean into the positions, like you see people like Zoran Mondwani, who's running for mayor, very much leaning into his leftist socialist values, right? And/or, talking about issues that really matter, right? You see mayoral candidates like Brad Lander and Adrian Adams and and Zelnor, who Myrie, who are mayoral candidates in the city of New York, weighing in on the issues, right? And talking about their campaign, right? Talking about Trump all the time is not going to get us a win, right? We've realized that, right? People are desensitized around their messaging. It is very important to be consistent, keeping your message clear, and talking directly to voters on what they need, right? Voters are really struggling right now, whether it's affordability and rents in the Bronx, whether it's poverty or hunger, it is real, right? Whether it's healthcare issues, even just getting on the train and getting to work is a struggle for many New Yorkers. I myself in the Bronx used to have to take 2 trains and a bus to get home, right? What does that mean, right? And how are you talking to me about what matters, right? And I think that's kind of the authenticity that we're missing in the Democratic Party, and we need to go back to that.
Do you see it happening before the midterm elections?
I hope.
Yeah,
I know I'm telling my folks to be authentic and talk and lean in. Whether or not they listen, that's up to them.
Yeah. I want to broach another topic, and that is the relationship between Puerto Rico right here in the United States. We know that there's connections that are out there. You formed an organization to really tighten up connections between Puerto Rico and the United States. I want to give you a moment to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm very proud of this organization. It is not my day job, but it is my heart and soul. It's called La Brega y Fuerza. You can go to labregafuerza.org to learn more about our organization. Our goal is to create a stronger pipeline between the communities on the island and off the island, in places like New York, where we have almost 1 million or so Puerto Ricans, and across the country, like, believe it or not, Wisconsin and Chicago and New Jersey and Massachusetts, where there are big pockets of Puerto Rican voters, all of them really feeling like their island has been ignored, and trying to create opportunities to strengthen the island's economic future and resilience. And so we're working very closely with organizations on the island and off the island. We're talking to Puerto Ricans across the country. We have been doing work since even before the presidential and now after the presidential, focused on ensuring that people understand the issues that are plaguing Puerto Rico, and how you, as a regular person who has a home there or has family there, can still be a powerful messenger. in talking to their public officials and advocates. We're also working very closely on environmental resilience and working closely with local fishermen and local economies to figure out how do we actually maintain our own local space and independence economically in a very hard climate.
Yeah. Camille Rivera, partner of New Deal Strategies and also adjunct professor of international and public affairs at Columbia. We thank you so much for joining us and sharing a little bit about insight into unions, the political climate, and the work that's going on within the Latino community. Thank you so much.
I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for having me.
All righty. Now, if you want more information, go ahead and visit the website at newdealstrategies.com. We encourage you don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open coming up right after this.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
And welcome back. Tobacco use remains the leading cause of preventable death in the United States, claiming over the lives of almost 500,000 people each year. In New York City alone, around 12,000 residents die annually from smoking-related illnesses. And despite significant progress in tobacco control, disparities still remain, especially in low-income neighborhoods and communities of color, where access to smoke-free housing and protection from secondhand smoke are still not guaranteed. Join me now to share more. We've got the NYC Smoke Free's Reality Check Youth Engagement Manager. We've got Zoe Cruz. And then we've got the Bronx and North Queens Community Engagement Leader, Frederick Marte. And thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so when we look at the numbers here, I mean, obviously they are concerning to see that numbers are on the rise. From you who have the boots on the ground, tell us about how we're dealing and how New York is actually faring, city is faring when it comes to smoking. And I'll start with.
Yeah, so in terms of smoking, I know recently in 2022, there was a study that found that over 49.2 million, or 1 in 5 adults, claim that they use tobacco products. And in our work, we've worked on this for about 10 years, and we've seen a decrease in the use of these products. But this is still a relevant issue. Like you mentioned, in marginalized communities specifically, those communities were targeted, and these products still persist in those communities, specifically when we talk about youth. So we have seen a decrease in adult smokers, but then we've seen an increase in youth smokers starting as early as elementary school.
Right. That brings Zoe in, and then dealing with the youth, really trying to get them on board with understanding the ramifications and early engagement and what that leads to. So your job and your task is what?
So as the youth engagement manager, I pretty much work to equip the young people with the tools and knowledge needed to resist the tobacco industry's manipulative marketing tactics. So pretty much setting them up for success so that they know the information and can move forward in being pretty much champions in tobacco control.
Yeah, so when we talk about protecting youth, what are some of the ways that you're going about really getting that message to them, letting them know about the harms and the effects?
I like to approach with creative activities, very hands-on, posters, projects, going out into the community, doing bud pickups, really having something visual for the youth to look at so that they see that this is a physical thing, that they can look at it, they can smell it. If we collect a whole bunch of buds that stinks, they can smell it, they see that it's in the environment. So something that they could really look at.
Yeah. For yourself, obviously, doing the work, really trying to make sure that more people become, the smoke-free engagement, if you will. Talk to us a little bit about that side of really sharing and the things that you're looking at in terms of like health equity, trying to see that make sure that when it comes to this issue, that there's some equality that's across the board.
Yeah, I think when we think of equity specifically, we look at low-income communities, specifically looking at Black and Latina families. When we look at the work that I do, working with trying to get voluntary policies passed, specifically in housing, I look at affordable housing and how these individuals in the past didn't necessarily, because they're multi-unit housing, secondhand smoke is easier to travel between those units. So really educating them on certain myths, because there's still individuals who don't think that smoke does travel within those units.
So your work takes you between the Bronx and Queens as well, huh?
Yes, it does. So there's a lot of traveling, but it's really good because we get to see different challenges and different issues. Like you mentioned, health equity is something we have to connect our work with, because a lot of times when we talk about tobacco control, specifically in these marginalized communities, it might fall to be a low priority unless we're connecting them to those issues, right? Because when we're thinking about economic stress and housing inequality, they might be more concerned and more worried about those things at the time.
And your work coincides because
Yes.
on one side I'm thinking about, hey, you got a lot of tobacco use that's now flowing in, particularly in marginalized communities, but then not only do you have tobacco use, you have a lot of tobacco marketing. And so how do you counter the marketing that's out there, because we know it's coming hot and heavy?
I would like to say with the youth programs or the youth meetings, we pretty much counter that by making our own material that really works to inform young people and their peers. So for example, poster making is something that I really like harness into, because then the young people could create their own messaging around it, and using that to kind of also just put that out there. When we know that youth are walking down the street, they're seeing the smoke shops, they're almost everywhere, and trying to have that same stuff in, not the same stuff, but their work in schools, so that the youth who go into school, they can see, oh, my peers are telling me and showing me like how not to smoke and how not to start smoking.
Yeah. So as I think about some of the things that you've got going on, I know that you've got a couple of events coming up, and one taking place on the 30th, and that one is designed to really get some community engagement and let the community know. But share a little bit about the event on the 30th.
Yeah, so we've partnered with individuals who've been doing this work for a really long time. We're partnering with the Poet Life, who works with local artists to hold poetry events, as well as Dr. Garner, who is an individual that speaks specifically about the issues regarding mental in African American communities. And the event itself, it's a menthol poetry event. So we're going to have youth and local artists talk about the disparities and harms that are caused by tobacco product use through art and advocacy.
Yeah. You brought up two things, menthol, right, and then secondhand smoke. What can you give us in terms of menthol that maybe the public may need to know about when it comes to menthol?
Okay. So menthol, specifically menthol cigarettes, they were pushed in marginalized communities, specifically the LGBTQIA+, African American, and Latinx communities. It's important to know that specifically in African American communities, menthol cigarettes are sold at a cheaper rate than in other communities. And 85% of African Americans who smoke actually smoke menthol cigarettes, resulting in about 50,000 or around 54,000 African Americans that die yearly related to diseases caused by smoking.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you a question about receptivity, because when you're out there talking to young people, we're talking about smoking.
Yeah.
Don't stop smoking. Come on now. Bruh. I can hear the answers, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're getting at, bro. So how is it on the trail when you're out there talking to the young people, trying to engage them in this area? What are they saying?
So I like to start with thanking them for even being there, depending if it's a presentation or even
nice. Good. Yeah, all right, that's a good start.
Yes, I definitely thank them for being there, and as well as thanking them for listening to any of the information that I'm coming. I do get met with some pushback, but I think that having the conversation about smoking is having a conversation about survival. At the end of the day, these kids are growing up and they're seeing some of the marketing, they're seeing some of the things that are coming into their life, and these are health choices that will affect them for the rest of their lives. So I kind of frame it around that, like, this is a choice that you're making for your health. A lot of the times young people don't want to listen to adults. They don't want to hear that influence coming in, and the tobacco industry is an influence that is coming in. So letting them know that kind of breaks that barrier.
Yeah. Frederick, I want to ask you about this because there's a lot of advocacy that's going on, a lot of people making pushes in state and local. How involved are you and engaged in you with the advocacy portion of really getting that up the chain to, state legislators, governor, the whole 9 yards?
Yeah, so we focus specifically on education and awareness. So what we do in going out to these spaces is educate on the disparities and really hone in on lived experiences, statistics, and facts from individuals such as youth leaders in our reality check program, or community leaders, or other organizations, to really bring these elected officials their word of what's happening in their community, so that they're better informed about what's happening by those most affected by this issue.
And what do you hear when you're out there in terms of what's happening? Is there some common themes that you're hearing about what's out there?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are concerned because, I know a lot of times the issue is, with regulating smoking, but they mention, we don't care if people do it. What we care about is that I don't choose to do it and it's affecting me. So a lot of time we hear from individuals who aren't smokers and who are smokers bringing up the same issues, right? The way that it affects individuals who choose not to smoke, and how those individuals, like children, elderly individuals with chronic diseases, and even pets, are being affected by another individual's choice.
Well, Zoe, Frederick, gotta leave it there, but thank you so much for sharing with us. Again, the event's on the 30th. Tell them where.
Yes, it is happening at Mother AME Zion Church, and it'll start around 6:30. And again, remember, that's where youth and local artists will be talking about the issues we've kind of mentioned today through art and advocacy.
All right, well, thank you for joining us. All righty. Well, listen, now, if you want more information, visit the website at nycsmokefree.org. Encourage you, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open coming up right after this.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
And welcome back. More than 75% of Americans plan to take a trip. Yeah, that's right, summer trips. And however, before you load up the car and hit the road, it's important to be ready for the unexpected car troubles that could derail your plans. Joining us now is the car mom, Kelly Stumpe, who's sharing with us in here. And thank you so much for being with us, Kelly.
Thanks so much for having me.
I think I'm having a little audio issue with Kelly, but maybe we can get you. I can get you, but I think you could hear me, and I'll probably get it straight in just a few seconds. But talk to us as people are traveling during this time of year, getting ready. What are some of the things that we need to know?
Sure. So, I mean, so much of summer travel is making sure that you have a car that's ready to go, right? And one really easy way that families can ensure that they're going to have a reliable vehicle no matter what is to consider rental car reimbursement coverage, okay? This is an optional add on to your insurance plan that covers the cost of a rental car if your car gets in an accident and needs to be repaired.
And for renters out there, if you've got a rent-a-car, I know a lot of questions come about rental-car insurance and whether or not it's the right thing to do. Should I have a rental-car insurance, or should I just trust my, own insurance? For somebody that's out there renting, give us some background to that.
Yeah. So this specific coverage is a little different than coverage on your rental car. This coverage goes on the vehicle that you own, and it would cover the cost of a rental car if that vehicle that you own gets in an accident and has to go to the shop to be repaired. And this is really important because if your car gets in an accident and has to get repaired, it's not like a 1 to 2 day wait. In fact, enterprise data tells us that it's up to 2 weeks that your vehicle would be in the shop needing to be repaired. So this really helps make sure that you have a car to drive for the summer. In terms of coverage outside of that, I would default to your insurance agent.
And speaking of rental cars and rental insurance, if I'm a mom, what's the best car, I should say, that a mom should be looking for?
You know, families come in all shapes and sizes, right? Like, so I'm a mom of 4. I need a big car. I drive a Ford Expedition, and it's not for the gas mileage. It's because that's what we need. We've got the 4 kids, the car seats, the road trips coming up. So it's really important that families really take a look at what their needs are in their vehicle. And I would kind of continue that message on to thinking about when it comes to getting rental reimbursement coverage, you want to make sure that you have enough coverage, right? Because there's a reason you bought the car that you have. It's because it's the car that works for you. So if that car gets in an accident and you need a rental car, you want to make sure that you have coverage for a like vehicle. If I showed up to the rental car place and they pulled up a Toyota Camry because that's what I was covered for, that would do my family of 6 no good, right? So you really want to make sure not only do you have this coverage, but you have enough of this coverage.
Talking about making sure of, there are a lot of people out there traveling, and listen, traveling together. We're saying, hey, we're going to do this trip together. Going sporting events, the whole 9 yards. Carpools, we see a lot of that happen during this time of year. Some advice for those people who may be carpooling, because for some, it's not really what they want to do, but they want to make the best of the situation.
Yeah, so I think when it comes to like summer road trips and just spending more time in the car, it's really about just like making the journey the fun part, right? It's not just about the destination. And it's recommended that children and adults get out of the car every 2 hours for our blood circulation. So as you're planning your road trip, think about places where you can get out, stretch your legs, and just make it fun. Whether it's a fun place to eat, like a roadside attraction, and just don't forget that part of like your summer planning process.
And before we go, I know a lot of people are doing car shopping and car buying this year, much due to social media. We talk about Instagram and TikTok. They've really become a legitimate force in helping people to be able to select that right car for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I started posting videos on social media in 2020, and it was kind of out of desperation for people not having access to the cars during the pandemic. So I think that social media and like short-term videos are just a great way for people to really see how a car operates. I know I can speak for my reviews specifically. I really focus on the families. So in every single one of my car reviews, I'm installing car seats, I'm showing strollers, I'm showing if the cup holders can fit a giant like water bottle, and really just trying to give you like some real world examples on how this car could work for you. So I'm a big fan of all content on social media.
As you said, you're a big fan, but let me ask before we get out of here, from your perspective, the biggest mistake people make during this time of year when it comes particularly to cars?
Well, I think a lot of families specifically, because that's my audience, they don't always forecast like their family's needs and their family's growth, right? I mean, families look different every single year. So it's very easy to like buy a car for your current ages of kids, your current car seat setup. But how is that car going to continue to meet your needs throughout the entire time you're going to own the car? If you're going to get into a 6-year loan, you need to think about year 1 and you need to think about year 6 and make sure that car is going to work for you. So I just recommend that people kind of slow down the car buying process and think about the future as much as they can.
Yeah, that's helpful advice. Kelly, thank you so much, and I appreciate you taking the time. Come on back and visit us again. All righty, well, if you want more information, visit the website at thecarmomofficial.com. Encouraging you to don't go anywhere. We'll be back more open coming up right after this.
What's up, creative family? Discover your voice with BronxNet community media classes. Are you ready to bring your ideas to life? At BronxNet, we offer television production classes for community members ages 18 and over, empowering you to share your vision with the world. Get certified in field production, in-studio production, and our new exciting addition, podcast production. Once certified, you can create your own show to air on one of our 6 TV channels. It all starts with our free Unleash Your Ideas Masterclass, designed to help you plan your show idea and set you up for success on your production journey. This class is offered at the beginning of each month for your convenience. Our dedicated BronxNet team is here to support, encourage, and uplift you every step of the way. Join us and become a part of the creative force that engages and inspires the Bronx community and beyond. Sign up today and start your media journey with BronxNet. Visit bronxnet.org/education to learn more and register. Let's create something amazing together.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. 55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. "34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it." Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit BronxNet.org to learn more.
Welcome back. Many students across New York City face challenges like language barriers, financial hardship, and limited access to academic support. However, programs like New York Edge are helping to turn those struggles into success stories. With a focus on after-school and summer enrichment, New York Edge is opening its doors through mentorship, college prep, and leadership training. And joining me now to discuss this is the CEO of New York Edge. We're pleased to have Rachael Gazdick, and then also a senior at the Community School for Social Justice. We got Cheikhou with us, and thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and I'll begin ladies first. And tell us a little bit, Rachael, because as we see New York Edge really helping young people really get across that finish line and intervening in their lives in such a way that it really changes, as we'll get ready to talk about in a few minutes, the trajectory of one's, educational and then also their, their careers.
Yeah, absolutely, Daren. We at New York Edge, we serve over 33,000 students.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. We serve over 33,000 students in 136 schools. And we have a staff of about 1,700 people across the greater New York City and on Long Island in the Wyandanch School District. And so the way we see our students is we see them as the next leaders, like the next scientist, the next animator, business person, and so on. So we create our program models that way, anywhere from kids being engaged in animation, sports, health and wellness, visual and performing arts, leadership, college and career readiness. And we just want to be able to provide the students everything that they need to be who they want to become.
Yeah. And for this young man here, Cheikhou, and who's a young man who's done some tremendous things. Cheikhou, tell us a little bit about how the program has impacted you.
I would definitely say that enhanced my high school experience. Freshman year and sophomore year, there weren't many opportunities to do things that I would personally be intrigued in. But then New York Edge came in and they did activities like spin the wheel, trips on Wednesdays, just like good incentives to motivate you to come to school even more. And community bonding things like painting a mural, which is something I thought I'd never do in high school.
Yeah. And a little bit about your story, because I understand that you're from Senegal, and coming from Senegal, you're able to actually overcome the odds and then take it to another level.
Just thanks to my community. I randomly applied to a high school back when I was a middle schooler. I was randomly applying because it was COVID, but I feel like I'm in the right place, and my community has supported me through every step of the journey, whether it's education, emotional support, and just like New York Edge, just being here and just making my experience even more fun and just helping me see that it can get better slowly but surely.
Right. And Rachael, I want to have a moment with you about this perspective here when I talk about mentorship, because I think it's so key and so critical that a lot of people are able to get across the finish line, really be able to do what they do because of good mentorship. And talk about that as a part of the daily work that you have going on.
Yeah, Daren, I think the mentorship part, for Shay and for any of our students is to really sort of open the doors wide to really get kids, prepared for college access, but not just to get into school, but to complete their 4-year degrees and then go on into a profession that they really want to be a part of. And I think we have to start that with kids at a very early age and expose them to all kinds of professions that exist and really figure out where their passions are and where they can tap into things. And Shay was accepted to, and he should talk about a number of different colleges and universities, but it's not just about getting in, it's about finding the school that's the right fit, making sure that the kids excel when they get on campus, and then that they come out on top, and that they really get a job, that they really believe in. And I think that's really critical.
Yeah. Well, Shay, take it away, because we are proud of the success that you've had, a number of offers. But tell our viewers a little bit about the offers that you've had and where you landed.
I was surprised myself. Connecticut, the University of Connecticut, that was a big one for me. City College, John Jay, Albany, which was a big one. I'm just like super happy. John Hopkins too. But originally it was supposed to be UConn, but tuition was a little too high. But then I thought about Albany, but then tuition was a little too high again. Now I'm kind of going CUNY. City College is what I'm thinking. But I'm just grateful. Not only have I been able to apply to colleges that I thought I'd never be able to apply to, but I went to these colleges thanks to New York Edge. I was able to see it with me and my friends, whether it's going to Columbia or the local colleges, or going to Baltimore to visit Monroe College or Coppin State. Just being able to see that there are opportunities out there that I can access, but thanks to New York Edge, I was just able to see a better world. And currently, I'm trying to get into City College. But it was amazing to get accepted to UConn and Albany and so many of these colleges, because it showed me that I can be more than my adversities.
Yeah. Well, I want you to share for me also, because I understand that you earned a Google certificate while in high school as well.
Yeah, I'm doing an internship right now where I used to work with younger kids for 2 months. It was really amazing because like they remind you of so much of yourself. I remember them playing games that I used to play, having conversation with them. Adding on to that, there's a Google certificate that me, along with other people who are interning, are doing. I chose on data analysis, and I'm taking the whole course, and it's been pretty amazing. Amazing insights, especially with me who wants to major in cybersecurity, having that world into what Excel looks like and what spreadsheets look like.
Yeah. So, Rachel, when you see a person like Shay, know his story, see what he's doing, and see where he's going, obviously he's definitely a good example of what Edge does. And there's so many other students that you really have hands on. But when you look at Shay and look at how you've been able to help in his transition, what's that like for you and your organization?
Well, it's exactly where we want to see. And we don't want to see all our kids go through all the trials and tribulations. They shouldn't have to. They should have access to everything that other kids get to succeed. So that's one of the things we strive to do, is to remove some of those barriers. And we'll talk with Shay more to talk more about his acceptances and how we can continue to remove those barriers. And as somebody who was a college professor for a long period of time, he has the grit to be successful in school. He really wants this, he's excited about it. And so part of it is his academic excellence, but the other part is his motivation to succeed. And that combination for Shay or any of our other kids who have to face too much unnecessary resilience is what makes them really champions when they get to the schools. And so that's really what we try to do. We try to remove barriers so that the kids can really be who they are, and they shouldn't have to confront all of these things all the time.
Yeah. How much has your confidence grown, Shay, given the fact that, you started at one level and now you are where you are today? How much has the confidence occurred, or I should say grown, through this process?
Man, I feel like the theme of my story has been going through adversity and overcoming it. But New York Edge has just given me that extra add-on. You can believe in your community. They can be a superpower for you. I feel like my confidence has exploded. I feel like I can do anything, but not just because I feel like it, but because I've shown myself throughout the years and throughout the things I've overcome that I can do it. But having New York Edge by my side, having my community by my side, it just makes you feel like there's nothing that you can't do, and that's an amazing feeling.
Yeah. What advice would you give another young person about Edge?
Man, believe in them, invest in them, talk to them, communicate with them. They really want to know you, your story. They care about you. They want to help you. Whatever opinion you have, communicate with them, and they can help you make your high school experience better. But most importantly, keep believing in yourself, in your community, and keep going because there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Rachel, I can't leave without talking about the gala.
Yeah, we had a really well, Shay was the star at the gala. Yeah. So we had a great evening with both Shay speaking, and then our visual and performing arts group performed with Broadway performers from Wicked. So that is also another, opportunity. Most recently, the kids were at Radio City Music Hall. They perform at our gala. So anything that we do, we try to do really big opportunities for the kids. Even our sports programs play at the Brooklyn Nets, or they play at the Jets. Our kids showcase their work in museums. So we don't just want to stay within the school building. We want to keep them on the track for success.
Yeah. So Shay, I'm gonna ask you a question. If you had to put your top 3 colleges that you want to attend down in order, what would they be?
Definitely UConn, Albany, City College, John Jay, St. John's.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Well, I want to tell you, I'm very proud of you. Congratulations for the great work that you're doing. Rachel, you get the final words. You want us to know anything else before we go?
No, but I think we got to work on that UConn acceptance. And that's coming from someone who went to Syracuse. So I think that we got to make sure that that happens for him.
Well, yeah, and anything I can do to help you out, call me. Or you may hear from me, all right? But we want to see you. If you have number 1, go for number 1. That's
right.
That's what we do. And for somebody else who lives in Syracuse right now, I can tell you that you go for it. So,
thank you, sir.
All righty. Now listen, thank you so much for being with us. Now I got to tell the viewers, if you want more information, visit the website at newyorkedge.org. And guess what? You can find out more information there. We've come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us, most of all you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast right here on Optimum's Channel 67. If you have Verizon Files, that's Channel 2133, or watch us anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. And yes, you can catch a brand new episode of Open with my girl, Rena Valentine. She comes to us on Friday. And that wraps up this episode for us. I am Daren Jaime saying, listen, make sure to keep this channel wide open. We say take care, God bless, see you soon.